Welcome to the Upland Nation podcast. Scott Linden here. Hope your season is going well. We'll talk about that and a whole bunch of other things here on the program today. But I'm sitting here watching the snowfall, thinking about where I'm going, where it's not falling, and I thought it might be helpful to you if you're looking for, let's just call it a snowbird hunting destination. I put together a list of a bunch of places I have gone and then a bunch of places of friends have gone that might be worth a look if you need to get away from the snow shoveling and all the other accoutrement of winter. So stand by for a list of destinations. Our Handle It segment will talk about why you should train every day of a hunt. At least at the beginning. I'll give you a little rationale there. And then you are going to tell me how your season is going and what was your most pleasant surprise. So stick around for all of that. And you never know what kind of rabbit holes will go down. That always happens around here, and it might again today. It's all made possible by Sage and Breaker Gun Care products, Pointer Shotguns, Mid-Valley Clays and Shooting School, TrulockChokes tubes, MidwayUSA.com, Purina Pro Plan Sport dog food, landtrust.com, and HiViz shooting systems. Well, everybody's in town this weekend because it's snowing everywhere. But that gave me a good excuse to bring disparate individuals together. Kind of like doing that at my favorite craft brewery. And debriefing. Got some great reports from some places I've been and also learned about some places I really got to put on the list. Making plans. Everybody, when they can't go is thinking about when they can go. And, that's the joy of this sport. Not only bragging on the dogs, there were a lot of pictures exchanged over the table. And with some non-hunting acquaintances we met there. So, it was fun for all those reasons. Maybe you do that. Maybe you don't do enough of that. Listen, I'll tell you, when you can't go, it's better than nothing. But on Facebook, you have given me an eyeful of what's going on out there. I was really curious. I'm always curious about how you feel about this stuff, and it informs everything else I do, the writing and the podcast and all the videos. And so I asked, what has been your most pleasant surprise so far this season? And there was a bunch of choices. I'll just go through them all. The condition of the habitat, that was the most pleasant surprise for 16% of you. The number of birds, 22% of you liked that. The quality, this was the loaded question, quality and generosity of my hunting partners. About 9% of you thought that was the most pleasant surprise. Nice and low competitive hunter numbers, about 10% of you. Favorable weather, about 12%. Dog performance, no duh. 25% of you said that's the most pleasant surprise. Theoretically, we're training for that, and it shouldn't be a surprise, but it always is. I used the term light bulb moment around the campfire last week, and everybody said, oh, yeah, I get it. Yeah, it's absolutely true. We heard about 3 of those stories after that. And then the most pleasant surprise for 5% of you was how good you're shooting so far. I can't share that one yet, but maybe soon enough. Anyway, great to hear from you. A lot more questions on the Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. Well, what do we call it now? X pages. What's the plural of X? Anyway, so check in with me. Let's get your thoughts on some of that stuff as we get moving along. Speaking of moving along, if you are looking for what I'll just define as your definition of a quality experience, especially based on that survey I just mentioned. You might want to take a look at landtrust.com. Plan your trip from home and know with confidence you'll have exclusive access to incredible properties for the length of your booking. It could be one day, it could be a week, it could be longer. It's a DIY option but it gives you the chance to quit knocking on doors or crossing your fingers and hoping you're the first guy to that walk-in area. Instead, you and your dog have a safe, high-quality experience thanks to landtrust.com. Shop around on the site, open your free account, compare pricing, compare access. It's all available to you at landtrust.com. Was just sent a new shotgun, and the first thing I did with it was put a new HiViz sight on it, one of those light pipes with the interchangeable colors. That's one of the many varieties they have. Magnetic, screw attach, and plain barrel sights fit most shotguns on the market. And no matter what your style of shooting is, if in your mind's eye, in your peripheral vision, or somehow in your subconscious, your head is seeing the sight, then you can put the muzzle in the right spot in relation to the target. Yeah, there's probably a more sciencey explanation than that, but that's what I think it does. And so do people like Ruger, Benelli, Browning, and Remington, where those sights are original equipment. HiVizSights.com, HiViz sights.com. Well, I'm moving progressively further south in my long hunting trips. My goal is not to hunt on snow, if at all possible. Maybe you have a similar goal, or you're just looking for something to do, let's say between Christmas and New Year's. That's always a great time to get out. No one else is working. Why should we? And so I thought it'd be fun to kind of compile a list of the places I've been or places my friends have been that you might want to go. Whether it's for a long weekend or for a really long trip, these are places that you might consider if you're as Scroogey as I am after Christmas. Bah humbug. The novelty of the snow has worn off. The drudgery of shoveling said snow is still with us until the end of the winter at least. So if you want to leave the icy grip of winter behind, here are my thoughts. Love to hear yours as well. And I'm not going to give you the secret spots, but I am going to give you a bunch of starting points. So pack your hunting boots, maybe your better half. Leave the snow shovel in the garage. And take your sunglasses. Let's first start with some of the less common or less well-known species we might want to take a look at. I'll call them outliers. I hope to drive past there. Back in the day, it was just called the Salton Sea. Then it became a national wildlife refuge, and then it became the Sonny Bono National Wildlife Refuge at Salton Sea. That's way down in southeast California. How about for waterfowl hunting? And occasionally some planted pheasants. Louisiana, prime destination for wintering woodcock, and we'll talk a little bit about that later. South Texas Gulf Coast has some waterfowling. Might be easier than some of the other things you could do there, but we'll talk again about that. And if you're in South Texas, head for the lower Rio Grande Valley and hunt yourself a chachalaca. I heard they taste like pheasant. I'll take his word for it. Thank you, Tony. All right, let's get to the big ones, the top 10, if you will, when it comes to cold weather and reliable warm weather alternatives. Well, first off on my list, the People's Republic of California. Yeah, they got some weird firearms laws. They got some weird ammo laws. Everything has to be non-toxic now. But don't let that scare you off if you're looking for sunshine. Don't forget, Southern California's average daytime temperature is about 70 degrees in January. And for me, that's about 35 degrees warmer than here. If you're in Minnesota, it's a lot warmer than that. So head for places like Barstow or Needles, far southeast. You're on the edge of the Mojave National Preserve. That's where you'll find Gambel's quail in the draws and arroyos. And all you got to do is park your truck and start walking. Lots of room there, but lots of Southern California hunters as well. But for Gambel's, find water and search the nearby cover. They'll come down for water, and as soon as they get water, they're going to head back up slope. If you want to score points with your spouse, you can headquarter in the Palm Springs, Palm Desert area. We do that a lot these days. You're a couple hours from that Mojave Preserve, but there's all sorts of other things to do for other people in your party, and maybe for you too. Personally, that Palm Springs area brings back all the memories of the Rat Pack and, all the things that happened down there. I'll tell you that story on another day. Well, there's California and worth a look. And if you're headed that way, let me know because maybe I'll see you there. Nevada. Yeah, we all know about Las Vegas. And if you're going to Vegas, of course, don't forget to watch the Penn and Teller show. Those guys are incredible. All sorts of other attractions for you, from more of those kind of shows to great dining, to the usual pool culture, if you want to call it that. But there's also Gambel's quail south of some of the smaller towns and some of the unincorporated areas. For example, Caliente is a small town just south of Vegas. The Mormon Mountains are in that same area. Take out the map, take a look at some of those areas. The Delamar Range can also produce. And if you're heading south of Vegas, look at the town of Searchlight. Just about 50 miles south, lots of Gambel's quail. You'll work for them. Take your sunscreen. Oh boy, yeah, that's just southern Nevada. If you're willing to hit the snow, of course, northern Nevada's full of chuckers. Well, all other things being equal. You're listening to the Upland Nation podcast. I'm giving you a list of places you might want to go when the snow flies at your place. I'm Scott Linden. A lot of these places are places I've been, or I have first-hand reports from them from other reliable sources. Arizona, one of those incredible kind of bucket list states for a lot of us, and this is when the good stuff happens in Arizona. It is the Valhalla for winter quail. A variety of destinations and some of those less common species and habitat that you might want to put on your life list. For the warmest weather, head for Kingman, Arizona, right on the Colorado River. Yeah, that place is incredible. Number one, there's an In-N-Out burger. But on top of that, there's all sorts of Gambel's quail hot spots. Unit 16A is one of those. If you get out, go to the website for Arizona Game and Fish. Find 16A toward Phoenix on Highway 93, top Gambel's quail producer. Lake Havasu. Park at the bottom of the washes. Listen for the gathering calls first thing in the morning. Lake Havasu, yeah. A great vacation destination. And also now a reason to bring your shotgun if you're going that way. I've also had fun at Lake Mojave, which is just a little bit, let's see, is it upstream? It's upstream from Havasu. That's near Bullhead City. And across the way is, what is the name of that town? Anyway, a mini Las Vegas on the Nevada side over there. So all sorts of good stuff happening along the Colorado River. But that's not all, and that is not what we go to Arizona for most of the time. We go for the Mearns quail and the scaled quail. And if you're looking for that, the towns to visit are Patagonia and Sonoita. Yes, Sonoita. Those areas are well within the Coronado National Forest. Lots of hills, serious uphill walking. Kind of an oak woodland vibe there, as opposed to some of the other what you might consider more traditional quail habitat, but they're not traditional quail. And did I mention that in a bad year, January down there has 1.3 inches of precipitation, and seldom is it snow. You want to start with a place like Gardner Canyon north of Sonoyta and get above 5,000 feet elevation. Arizona is one of my favorite places, and one of the reasons is there's a little bit of everything. You go north toward the town of Tombstone. Did some work in that town once years ago. That'll put you into scale and Gambel's quail. And also, it's kind of a touristy western town, movie set, staged gunfights, the whole Magilla. But the ground is more level than that stuff down in Mearns country, and definitely worth a look for that reason, if nothing else. If you're further south, the Tonto Basin near Roosevelt Lake might deliver some gambles to you. Tonto National Forest. Take a look at the stretch from the town of Globe to Pumpkin Center, and that's how it's spelled, Punkin, Pumpkin Center. It's a real place. East of Tucson, well, stop at the East Inn while you're in Tucson. Cheapest Michelob on draft. But other than that is the town of Wilcox, just a little bit east of town. Some pretty good scaled quail hunting. It's it's an acquired taste, scaled quail hunting. They're runners. You'll do a lot of running, and maybe the best thing to do is bring your flushing dogs. But they're down there at the lower elevations. Try starting out northwest of town in the Steel Hills and the Allen Flat area. And then while you're there, of course, visit the Friends of Marty Robbins Museum. You'll need the rest. Take my word for it. Well, we're still down in the Southwest, and we're going to my favorite state next. If you like chili, okay, down there it's a different kind in New Mexico. And there's two colors, red and green. Try them both and choose your team. But beyond the culinary delights, and there are many in New Mexico, it's one of the few states that offers 4 different wild quail species. Scaled, Gambel's, northern bobwhites, and Mearns. Now, scalies are the predominant species, and if you watch Wing Shooting USA, you've seen us down there. We did a couple scaled quail and Gambel's quail hunts down near the town of Deming. There's a wilderness area out there, so you can park on the edge of it and hunt around that area. The rest of it's BLM, or you can tromp into the wilderness area and find no traffic and just as many birds. You'll also find Gambel's in the Apache Sitgraves National Forest, right there at the Arizona border, and also in the Pecos River Valley. While you're down there, it's going to be bobwhite country. Head a little bit further south to the Texas border, and you'll find even more bobwhites. Now, the Mearns quail are most prevalent in the Catron County area, Cibola National Forest, the San Andres Mountains, and the Sacramento Mountains. I haven't been there, but I have friends who have been there, and they've said it's worth the walk. Yeah, be prepared to earn your birds. And while you're down there, take advantage of all the, I'll just call it magical culture. In fact, oh yeah, I just did a story for Gundog Magazine on New Mexico. So if you want more on New Mexico, go to the current issue of Gundog Magazine. Sorry, no pictures of the red and green chili, but you will prefer one over the other. That's kind of how it works. Okay. Yeah, you're listening to the Upland Nation podcast. I'm Scott Linden. We got more states and regions coming up. We got the Handle It segment where I'll talk about setting the tone for the day every time you take your dog out of the box. It's all coming up right here on the Upland Nation podcast. Brought to you by TrulockChokes.com. Got a choke tube for just about any shooting activity. Did you miss the Black Friday sale? Well, check in again. There's a consolation prize. Lots of ways to get more for your money. Just take a look at the top of the page. There's a rotating menu of all sorts of deals, from percents off to free with purchase kind of offers. So TrulockChokes is TRULOCK chokes.com. Yes, I already have on order another set for the new gun I got yesterday. If you want to learn more about their lifetime warranty and their satisfaction guarantee, it is spelled out as plain as day. And if you want confidence, it's right there in the satisfaction guarantee. TrulockChokes.com. Speaking of confidence, practice up your shooting mid-season when you've started to slough it off, like me, at Mid-Valley Clays and Shooting School. They're in Western Oregon. In addition to practice, consider taking a lesson. All the instructors are bird hunters. They know of what they speak, and they will focus on the things that are important to you. Maybe it'll add a bird to your bag once in a while. If you're shopping for a new shotgun and you can't find it, call Dave Fiedler at Mid-Valley Clays and Shooting School. By the way, the address is midvalleyclays.com. He might be able to find it when no one else can. They got a direct line to a lot of the manufacturers, especially if you're looking for a sub-gauge gun. midvalleyclays.com. Welcome back to the Upland Nation podcast. Scott Linden here. We're talking about places to go where the ground will be bare, the temperature will be higher, and you and probably your traveling companion will be happier late in the season. Yeah, I've been there and done that. I've shot chuckers in waist-deep snow, and I've slid down ice fields after valley quail. I've I've been in knee-deep snow and jumped whitetails out of some of the thickets we hoped we would jump pheasants out of in North Dakota, and those were all incredible. But I don't want to do it anymore. Maybe you don't either. So let's find some nice, warm places to go. Next on my list is Texas. My friends in Texas have put together a few suggestions, and I've done a little research myself. So these are all secondhand recommendations for people who are just like you and me. I know. It's hard to believe there is publicly accessible private land for you and me in Texas. Yeah, the state where the ranches are so big you can see them from space. But invest in about a $50 annual public hunting permit, and it opens thousands of acres of walk-in access. Start your search at the Texas Wildlife Department's website. Get the maps and start packing your RV. Now, publicly owned ground is a little harder to locate, but there is some. And as I mentioned earlier, depending on what you're willing to chase, if you put waterfowl in the mix, all of a sudden it opens up a little bit more. I have a friend who's down there hunting sandhill cranes. Never thought about that. And of course, if you're a waterfowler, you know all about the Katy Prairie. But there are other places to go for uplanders like us. The town of Tilden is a good jumping off point. The James Dotrey Wildlife Management Area, that's in South Texas. It's close enough to Corpus Christi and the Gulf Coast, and, just for the record, 223 days of sunshine every year. If you're in the lower Rio Grande Valley, Las Palomas Wildlife Management Area is another place to start, and across the Rio is Mexico, and we know how nice that can be middle of the winter. So consider Texas if you're, within spitting distance of that state. Might save your sanity, and it might make somebody else in the family happy as well. Going down to the deep south, which has always been good to me in the winter, it could be incredibly good to you as well. Yeah, I know. There's lots of private quail hunting down there. There's lots of places you can book a day at a plantation as well. Ride on one of those mule-driven wagons or something like that. They're always fun, but if you're trying to save a few bucks after the Christmas apocalypse, then do-it-yourself might be the way to go, and here are some suggestions for you. Florida has some quail enhancement areas, and you can get a one-day hunt on a lot of those with a reservation system in January and February. Learn more about them at the department website, and then take a look at these. The Apalachicola Wildlife Management Area, Blackwater Wildlife Management Area, and Three Lakes Wildlife Management Area. Yeah, it's still Florida, lots of private ground, probably crowded on the public ground, but this time of year, most people have swapped out their shotguns for golf clubs. Alabama had a great hunt there. Maybe you watched that on television. One biologist there, that's the only information I could get down there. I haven't done any public ground hunting down there, but one of the biologists I talked to suggests look at the waterfowl regions. The state is farming those places for all sorts of wildlife. And if you're looking for quail, that might be a starting point. Try the Blue Springs Wildlife Management Area for starters. Now, if you're looking for accessible quail hunting in Georgia, go to the D-Lane Wildlife Management Area. That's spelled D-I-Lane, D-Lane, near Waynesboro. If you're near Savannah, and who wouldn't want to be near Savannah this time of year? Moss-covered trees, that vampire backstory. Oh, and the dining. Don't forget that. You might find birds in some of these wildlife management areas. Clark's Hill, Blanton Creek, Clybel, C-L-Y-B-E-L, Okie Woods, and Okmulgee, among others. Might consider taking a fishing rod. This time of year, some of the offshore fishing can be incredible down there. Yeah, I know. It all sounds great, and hopefully on that list were some spots that you have a realistic chance of getting to, and that's the key. Yeah, even for a long weekend, all of those destinations might be worth a look. We're brought to you in part by MidwayUSA.com. They got just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors. Yeah, I got a propane-fired coffee maker. It's the big hit in camp every morning. Yeah, there are a lot of ways to make coffee. This one is simple. You turn it on and walk away. And everybody else walks towards it. Anyway, I got it at MidwayUSA.com. And if you missed the big Cyber Week sale, you're still in luck. Sign up for email or text notifications, and you'll get 10% off your next order. Maybe some foul weather gear, or some of that non-toxic shot for a California hunt. You know, MidwayUSA.com won the BizRate Platinum Circle of Excellence Award. It's based on customer feedback, and believe me, I've seen a lot of that. People love how they're being taken care of at MidwayUSA.com. And my friends at SageandBreaker.com always take care of me, and hopefully you too, when you need gun cleaning and care products. They've got them. Don't miss out on any future sales or the new products coming down the road. Sign up for their email list, and you will be first in line. If you're headed for those Arizona quail meccas of Sonoyta and Patagonia, stop by in Sonoyta. They've got a new retail operation down there. Say hello to Fred Bohm and everybody there. That's where you'll get a close-up look at some of their new products, even before they're available to the public. It's all at sageandbreaker.com. Yeah, most of the time I talk about training in our Handle It segment, but I guess I'm still talking about that. I was reminded one more time a couple days ago. I let Flick out of the box after a long ride, and after he stretched and peed, I did again what I wish I had been doing for most of the season, and that is set the tone for the day with a little bit of training before you actually unclip the lead. I like this for a couple reasons. First off, especially if you're working on something in particular with him, it's bringing those birds all the way back to hand. You know the drive-by retrieve that most of us are satisfied with this time of the year. I really don't like that, because once a season that bird runs away if it's dropped on the ground. So we're doing that, among other things. He gets out, he takes a leak, clip on the lead again, and then we'll do one or two things. I'll walk him at heel. I'll do a couple of woes. Maybe I'll do a recall or two. And then in our case, I'm lobbing a bumper, or if I have a dead bird already, I'll lob a dead bird and make sure that he brings it all the way back, waits for me to ask for the bird. Set the tone. It's a mind over matter opportunity for you. The dog understands we're going to work now. This is not playtime. I'm not just cutting you loose. I'm telling you that you're working for me, or we're working together. Maybe that's a better way to put it. By training before you hunt. Handle It this week is brought to you by PointerShotguns.com. Nothing worse than a trigger click and no boom following. That's why all Pointer shotguns have a 7-year warranty. I've heard some great stories about the customer service and repairs that they will do should you on occasion need them. PointerShotguns.com is where you learn more about their entire array of all styles, pumps, semi-autos, over and unders, side-by-sides, with a myriad of colors, finishes, you name it, they've got it. Learn more at PointerShotguns.com. Hey, youth over and unders and side-by-side starting at suggested retail of $759. That's your upgrade right there, my friends. PointerShotguns.com. And Flick also is fueled not only by a better mindset in the mornings of a hunt, but by Purina Pro Plan Sport dog food. Learn all the reasons I switched at ProPlansport.com. One reason, the way they concentrate the nutrition optimizes his VO2 max, the oxygen metabolism. Day to day to day, that's what increases his endurance. High protein, real meat is the first ingredient, and that brings Flick amino acids that fuel the muscles, including that time after exercise when they're recovering. Learn more at ProPlansport.com. Well, I hope you got a new destination to add to your bucket list. Maybe you'll be thawing out in one of those places along with me. I hope so. I want to thank you for listening. I want to thank all of you who comment at the social platforms, those who left ratings and reviews. And I also want to thank our sponsors who make it all possible. SageandBreaker.com, PointerShotguns.com, ProPlansport.com, MidValleyClays.com, TrulockChokes.com, MidwayUSA.com, and LandTrust.com. You know, there are stories on most of those places with more details at findbirdhuntingspots.com. Lots of first-hand accounts from my visits to many of those places, as well as all sorts of other things from dog training and dog care stuff to how to help other hunters become more successful. I'm always there, and you can always reach me there. Just click on the Contact Us button at findbirdhuntingspots.com. Until we meet in the field, I hope to see you at the range. I'm Scott Linden. Thanks for listening to the Upland Nation Podcast.